preferences. If I tell you that I'm a man, it's because I want you to know that I like these set of preferences. If I tell you I'm a woman, it's because I want you to know that I agree with these set of preferences.
Can men give birth?
Can men or can males? Because males can't. Listen for a second. If you listen to your bio professors, you would understand there's a difference between biology and what we think
So
about.
I want to thank you for proving a great point.
What?
You are why we should eliminate the Department of Education. Thank you very much.
When conversations shift to education, money, and even the meaning of truth, sparks fly quickly. In this exchange, a teacher, who also happens to be running for state senate, steps up to challenge Charlie Kirk. The topics range from the role of the Department of Education to questions about wealth inequality, and finally to one of today's most polarizing cultural flashpoints, the definition of a woman. Let's break down how this clash unfolded and what it reveals.
Senate, because our government doesn't work well. There's a lot of waste. There's a lot of bloat. And yet the things that you're advocating about going against are what help people. Everybody's here because they support freedom. Because as you say, we want a freer market, we want a freer place. And yet these policies like destroying the Department of Education, which I'm a teacher for, hurts our ability to take power in the marketplace. It just adds to the few rich people owning all of us. Right now in America, the top 0.01% have an average $600 million of wealth. The bottom half have an average $7,000. And by destroying the Department of Education, the Center for Budget, for the Consumer Protection Bureau, that is actively helping those rich people take all of our money. Prove me wrong.
Okay, so Trump's been president for 6 weeks.
Sure.
Right. So we had an oligarchy as Donald Trump was becoming president.
Yes.
We had all these agencies. How did they prevent the oligarchy?
They didn't. No, we have a bad oligarchy, but Trump is increasing our oligarchy. He had Jeff Bezos, he had Tim Cook, he had the richest people on the earth who have more money than the bottom half of the country combined sitting right behind him.
Hold on a second.
And Elon Musk is helping those regulations to get destroyed
they
so they can take
his
even more
inauguration
power.
as an attendee. But let's go through one by one.
And they donated to it.
So let's go one by one.
Sure.
Let's first go to the Department of Education. So the Department of Education, which I'm guessing you're in favor of, like $47 million going to improving learning outcomes in Asia.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
yeah.
helping other people helps us. I'm a teacher. When other people don't match our economy, when they can't participate in it, everybody's hurt by that.
So I do have a question though. We're not even helping ourselves. Why should we help other countries?
So you're right. We should help ours. You're right. We should help
agree.
ourselves
So
more,
the
and that means
question
funding the Department of Education,
The
funding
question is
healthcare.
let me finish.
Go.
How does one help oneself? Have educational outcomes gotten better or worse since the creation of the Department of Education?
The bloated Department of Education, you are right. We're spending way too much money on administration. That money needs to be go to funding school meals. That needs to be reducing class sizes.
You sound like a
and having
Doge
more
advocate,
teachers.
man.
No, because Doge is not doing that. By destroying the Department of Education, they're not funding Title I classrooms. If we funded Title I classrooms with the money that we promised, every single classroom would get a paraprofessional, which would help my students immensely.
So
they are failing, and as you were saying before, that Florida is the most equitable state. It's not. The richest students get $2,000 more.
The teacher kicks things off by framing Charlie's ideas as harmful to everyday families, especially when it comes to education. The accusation is clear. Cutbacks and criticism of federal oversight, they argue, amount to an attack on public schools. But once the debate moves past slogans and into evidence, the cracks begin to show. When Charlie points out that education budgets have grown dramatically, while test scores and literacy rates continue to lag, the defense of a large, top-heavy bureaucracy starts to unravel. Numbers, after all, tell their own story. If spending rises year after year but student outcomes decline, it's hard to call that progress.
Their schools every year than the fourth quartile students.
So I am curious though that the Department of Education, we've seen standards go down. They want to send it back to the states. By definition, we have the Department of Education. 11 million people are in education like yourself. 11 million of them. 6.7 million are administrators. 6.7 million are administrators. Can we agree we should fire most of those administrators?
It would. Look, I can't say that because I don't know what those administrators do. I think we have way too much money
You're a
going
teacher.
to them.
Time out. I got to interrupt you. Are you a teacher?
Yeah.
What do the administrators in your school do?
They help us out a lot. I mean, do you think I could manage my
Yes,
classroom if I
absolutely.
You are wrong.
No,
I could not manage my classroom unless I had an administration helping me out.
You need 5 administrators or 1 teacher. That's the ratio.
That's bad. You're right. That's bad.
Okay, but that's the current ratio.
So
5 to 1. But secondly, let me ask you, this is a very
it should
important
be
point.
reduced, but destroying the Department of Education is not the answer, because then you hurt the American economy by not allowing people to build up
Hold
their
on,
human capital.
time out. We already have the evidence. From the advent of Department of Education, we are now 26 in education. We were top 5 when it started. We're the lowest in reading, math, arithmetic in the Western world. Department of Education has made our standards substandard, and we spend $250 billion a year on the Department of Education, and yet our kids we can't find a single kid that can read at grade level in a Baltimore public school, or that can do math in a Chicago public school, and yet we keep on spending billions of dollars on it. So maybe the solution is crush the current system, send the money back to the states, empower families and parents, moms and dads, spend the money as they see fit, more choice, more competition, and make it localized, not federalized.
So here's the problem. The state of Florida introduced a bill. My opponent introduced a bill to provide $7,000 for school choice in Florida. That's government waste. A lot of that money is going to Disney, to cruises. That's increased waste. It's also every dollar is taken out of the Florida public education system given to private families. 75% of that is going to families.
You're against school choice?
75%. I'm not against school choice as long as we fund education properly, but 75% of the money is going to families that can already afford education, which means my students are getting $3 billion taken out of their education to go directly to the richest Floridians.
Hold on, I just want to make sure I understand. So you're against the money going to homeschooling? Like, what do you mean by this Disney thing? You're talking way too fast.
Watch how the conversation shifts when Charlie zeroes in on the balance between administrators and teachers. He highlights the ballooning number of non-classroom staff compared to the people actually teaching students. Surprisingly, the teacher concedes the ratio is skewed, but immediately doubles down, arguing that administrators are still indispensable. And this is where the tension really shows. On one hand, the problem is acknowledged. On the other, any proposed solution is dismissed out of hand. It's a classic debate contradiction. Admit the flaw, but resist the fix.
We need money going to where it's needed. To school meals.
What is your critique? You're saying $3 billion going to what?
So $3 billion being taken out of the public education system
and going
given
where?
directly to the people who can already afford a private education.
For what reason?
To help people get their private education.
Okay.
The problem is there also weren't restrictions on that to limit what the private schools could raise their tuition by.
You're totally wrong. I get what you're saying. What you're saying, though, was because...
Show me the facts.
It's their taxpayer dollars that are coming back as a refund, right?
It's also the public taxpayer dollars that are put into public money and they were given back to private individuals that they go to the public system.
It's their own money that's coming back. No, because you're advocating for the rich people stealing our tax dollars. Hold on, it's easy to say, like, the rich people,
yeah.
Right?
The 75% of the money is going to private education.
How do you define rich, by the way? How much money a year is rich?
If you can afford a private education, which is anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000 a year, you are rich. And 75% of the money going to the private and 75% of the money go. Half of all Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. If you can afford $40,000, you're richer than most people. Now, 75%. 75% of the money that is going from the public education system into the private system is going to those who can already afford private education.
What is the #1 predictor of student success?
How many years a teacher has been an educator?
Yeah, actually, the quality of this teacher. Yeah. So can we agree at least, because we'll not agree on everything, that we should be able to fire teachers at will?
At will is, what do you mean at will? For what cause?
If you're a bad teacher.
What do you mean by bad teacher?
I mean, you're on the line.
No, what do you mean by bad teacher?
Yeah, someone who doesn't listen to their students, is not good at what they do, graded by other teachers.
So for cause, not at will. Yes, we should fire teachers for cause.
Okay, but I think that do we have too many teachers or not enough teachers?
In Hillsborough County alone, we're missing 1,200. Across the state of Florida, across the state of Florida, there are 5,000 teachers. That's 50,000 students without an educator. You asked me a question. Let me finish.
We need better, higher paid teachers.
Yes, absolutely. And Florida has the 48th lowest average teacher pay.
Why do you think that is?
Because we have a Republican-controlled state for the past 30 years that are increasingly taking away money for teachers.
So hold on. If I'm not mistaken, Florida is in the top 5, not the #1, on educational outcomes for students, right?
On them passing, not actual outcomes. On them passing.
So that's #1 in the country, I think, though, right? And it was like number 30 or 40 back before school choice was. So I'm just curious at your complaint here. But it's fine. Let's just kind of go back to the thing. We'll go to the next question.
Sure. Finally, the discussion drifts away from dollars and policy into one of the most charged cultural debates of our time. Charlie asks a direct question: what is a woman? The teacher responds with an answer rooted in sociology, describing womanhood as a collection of preferences and a social construct, rather than a biological reality. But in doing so, the response unintentionally strengthens Charlie's hand. By sidestepping biology, The teacher's definition feels abstract and disconnected from common understanding. And in a debate setting, that distance plays right into Charlie's argument, making it look as though the pursuit of nuance only left a core question unanswered.
Department of Education, why should the federal government have any role in education?
Because spending that money on helping people helps the entire
That's
economy.
not, that's not where the money's going.
Let me finish. Helping people helps the entire economy.
How has that worked?
When you let people fall through the cracks, it destroys our economy. It's more expensive. When you take away the Consumer Protections Bureau, that helps $16 billion of scams go back to the American people. That helps our economy because then they can take place in the marketplace. What you're advocating for is to reduce the things that push people into the marketplace, to increase the barriers, and to destroy the freedom of our marketplace.
Again, you have not answered the question. Let's just reiterate it. Department of Education
That answer because it helps people.
Got started in
and helps the economy as a
1979.
whole. That was the question.
The same sort of nice sounding stuff we started to do over the last 35, 40 years. And we have the lowest standards ever had. We have childhood poverty all over the place. We have broken public schools because spending money from DC does not solve the problem. Empowering parents does.
So
parental agency is the solution, not bureaucratic empowerment.
Spending money on the federal
Gotta get to the next one.
1 second. The federal government spending money based solely on tests hurts people. Because then we don't get the money going to critical thinking, which your misinformation machine succeeds on. Because when people can't critically think,
All
they
right.
accept
Hold on.
your
I
assertions
got it.
as reality.
So last question. Hold on. So you would say I'm a misinformation machine. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. You're a teacher. Yes. What is a woman?
What is a woman? Oh, buddy. All right. So we define gender as a set of preferences that you have. Gender is a set of preferences we have. Woman is a social construct that we've agreed upon. Typically, we imagine womanhood as makeup or whatever. There is a difference between the word woman and being a biological female. Woman is a social construct that we use. Listen for a second. I'm telling you what it means. Woman is a social construct. We agree on these set of preferences. If I tell you that I'm a man, it's because I want you to know that I like these set of preferences. If I tell you I'm a woman, it's because I want you to know that I agree with these set of preferences.
Can men give birth?
Can men or can males? Because males can't. Listen for a second. If you listen to your bio professors, you would understand there's a difference between biology and what we think
So
about.
I want to thank you for proving a great point.
What?
You are why we should eliminate the Department of Education. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, let's round up what was said in those clips. The teacher came out swinging, accusing Charlie of backing policies that only serve the wealthy while hurting ordinary Americans. He tied this to the Department of Education and the Consumer Protection Bureau, insisting these agencies protect the little guy. But once Charlie pressed him for results, the cracks showed. The numbers don't lie. Since the Department of Education's creation in 1979, federal spending has skyrocketed, yet U.S. students rank near the bottom of the developed world in math and reading. More money hasn't fixed the problem. It's made it worse. The clash over administrators put that dysfunction on display. Charlie pointed out that in education, the ratio of administrators to teachers is nearly 5-to-1. That's staggering bureaucracy for a system supposedly built for students. The teacher admitted the ratio is bad, but still defended administrators as essential. It was a classic contradiction, acknowledging failure while refusing reform. This exposed the real divide. Charlie argued parents and local communities should decide how money is spent. The teacher doubled down on centralized control, even as results kept slipping. School choice made the contrast sharper. The teacher claimed programs, like Florida's, siphon money away from poor students. Charlie reframed it. It's taxpayer money to begin with. Shouldn't parents decide where it goes? Critics fear misuse, but advocates see competition, forcing schools to improve. What was missing in the teacher's argument was any real recognition that millions of kids are already trapped in failing schools' parents are desperate to escape. When the debate turned to wealth inequality, the teacher said dismantling federal agencies would only make billionaires stronger. He pointed to Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Jeff Bezos. But Charlie countered with the obvious. These agencies have existed for decades, and inequality still skyrocketed. If bureaucracy hasn't solved it in 50 years, why expect it to start now? From there, the discussion cut deeper. Outcomes versus ideals. The teacher leaned on broad themes: oligarchy, inequality, protection, but stumbled when asked for specifics. Charlie stuck to numbers, ratios, and results. In debating, that contrast matters. You don't need to raise your voice when facts are on your side. You let the contradictions unravel themselves. Then came the cultural curveball. Asked point blank, "What is a woman?" The teacher replied, "A social construct, a set of preferences." That single sentence, broadcast to the crowd, landed harder than any statistic. For many watching, it confirmed that academia is drifting away from reality, unable to give clear answers to basic biological questions. And that's the real takeaway. The teacher asked for trust in bureaucracies. Charlie argued for trust in families, parents, and individuals. One side sees salvation in centralized systems. The other sees freedom in local control. It's a debate as old as America itself. Whether you agree with Charlie or not, this exchange proves one thing. Slogans don't solve problems, results do. And accountability doesn't come from bureaucracy. It comes from outcomes. If America wants real change, it won't come from repeating the same old arguments. It will come from bold questions, honest answers, and the courage to rethink broken systems. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear where you stand.